Okay, so from expanding access to art to turning around AFP's business, let's welcome Nicolas and Pierre.
Hello. Good afternoon all. Nice seeing all these faces. Thank you, Adam. Thank you for the organizer to host us today. So I'm Nicolas Giraudon, and I'm the marketing director of AFP, the news agency, not the Australian Federal Police, as many people sometimes ask me. Let me introduce you as well to Pierre.
Nice to meet you.
Pierre Gilsoul is the product owner of AFP platforms, delivery platforms for our content to our clients. We'd like to talk to you today about how APIs have challenged AFP core business, how APIs have accelerated AFP transformation in its delivery, in its business model, and how, in fact, the whole change in the process helped AFP reposition itself towards, in fact, news debunking. But before we start, maybe we should introduce you a little bit more to AFP core business. And I don't have the clicker, by the way, which is here. AFP core business, core activity, is about producing and delivering verified information from its network of 1,700 journalists scattered across the world. AFP produces text, photo, videos, graphics in real time. So from a fashion week in Paris, in London, in Lakme, to a soccer match in Brazil, from a yellow vest strike in Paris to a beer festival, even in North Korea, in Pyongyang, where we have our 201, the last office we opened was in North Korea. We report facts as they happen in the world. And we deliver this content to our media clients or corporate. You know, it means that we deliver photo, text stories to these media clients who either edit or republish as they are the content for the audience.
So, the AFP company is quite old. It's been founded in 1835. Back in those days, there was not any computers around, as you might have guessed. We used to work with pigeons. We used to get information from our sources around Europe and whatnot with pigeons. Pigeons would arrive to our offices. We would get the news. We would write the news, and we would send it to our clients via pigeons. If we were a bit tongue-in-cheek, we could say and extrapolate to the fact that this has been our very first API.
And fast forward, closer to these years, we were delivering information through satellite from one point of the world, like Afghanistan, to Paris, where our editorial team was, or in Asia. But we were unique on the ground. We were the only one having the capability of sending information instantly to the rest of the world. But then, the emergence of API, the emergence of technology changed everything. The perfect storm happened in the mid-90s. On one hand, you had the hardware, which was much cheaper and accessible, like smartphone. The smartphone being spread out across the world with a lower cost. People could take photos, take videos. On the other hand, you had the emergence of new softwares, connected, interconnected, like social media, where social media appeared. So these two trends created the perfect storm, and it shaped a little bit our activity where we were not the only one. Anybody could, from its mobile phone, take a picture or a video and could break the news. We didn't have the monopoly of breaking the news alone. And as much as these technology changes have shaped AFP somehow, it gave us a unique opportunity. A unique opportunity to be obliged to create our own API, leverage the power of the API, connect it to the rest of the ecosystem, and bit by bit evolve. So APIs have accelerated the way our journalists work today. They have also scaled our distribution, and they have also shaken our business model. Let's give us a few examples. API today give fantastic tools for journalists to source information. They can do it basically through social media, like any other source. They could select topics. They could filter information, like tools on TweetDeck or others. But they can go much further into using data mining information, data mining softwares, where they can pinpoint where the source of information came from, who was the producer of information. Back in 2015, on October 2018, 18th of October, the social media in Asia-Pac went on fire. The tools detected a trend of hashtag rest in peace Lee Kuan Yew across Southeast Asia and specifically Singapore. Many media, data analysts, data scientists picked up the signal, and many media outlets had been publishing information across the world saying that Lee Kuan Yew, the Prime Minister of Singapore, had died. But they chose speed over verification. And a few days later, AFP published the information and announced the real death of Lee Kuan Yew. Why? Because not only it used the API to check trends, to verify information through verified accounts, it checked its sources offline with the people on the ground, but also it debunked the information that was wrong before. It was the first time that, as AFP had been challenged by the API, as AFP has been using the API, AFP has learned a new job, which was debunking fake information. More recently, as you know, fake information have been spreading across the world like crazy. Misinformation impacts not only voters' preference, it can impact some territories in the world where there is ethnic violence and results in deaths. It can impact stock exchanges. Fake news have much more impact we may have imagined a few years back. today. And through API, through a system based on API, AFP today is able to not only detect trends, that's what it does, detect trends of the most trending fake news. Its journalists pick and choose some news it wants to debunk the story, republishes it on social media. So it's a very different business from a couple of years ago, which was only publishing and verifying the news we were producing ourselves. Now we're going one step further and going after fake news which are being spread on social media, helped by API, and the verification of the news is also helped by reverse engine to source the information, to check if it's a fake or a real. I love this one where in the Santa, where "We want Trump" being chanted through the street of Paris. Charlie Kirk, who is a Republican, had pushed this info which Donald Trump had retweeted quickly. And obviously, this was a fake. I'm not sure I've heard anything in Paris, yellow vest chanting "We want Trump." But API helped us source the information, debunked it, and as a result, the spread of the information went down by 70 to 80% from what the social media platform have shared with us. So the new position of AFP, not only using this API, but our position in the world is to go and debunk fake news.
Now, looking at AFP content distribution possibilities, I wanted to speak about scaling that activity. So our pigeon-based model has exited, thankfully, and ever since the 80s, we've been offering different means of delivery to our clients. We've been offering them to use the satellite, to use the FTP, to use our platform, and more recently, our API. I want to focus on the API because it's been a great boon to our business and the way we conduct business, as well as the way we set up our content distribution solutions. Having an API has allowed us to change the way we allow our clients to access our content. We used to work and to offer our content in a fire hose approach. So a client who subscribed to us, we would push everything we have to the client. He can't choose what he gets. That's the end of it. Nowadays, we're in a more open-air market, meaning that the clients, they come to us, they look what they want, they pick it up, and they put it wherever they want. On the other side, something that has been a great use to us is having more usage knowledge. We went from being blind on the satellite or the FTP. We would send content to clients, and that would be the end of it. We would have no idea what the clients were doing with it. Black box. Whereas now, we're slowly becoming, and have become, all-seeing. We see everything the clients are doing with our API. We see their searches, the criteria, the terms, how they use the content, where they use it, etc., etc. All in all, those two elements, it's given us great insight in terms of business, and it's changed the way we work in terms of content distribution. We work now more closely to our clients' needs, and we work in iteration on that part. Now, in terms of business model, AFP is an old company. We have a very traditional business, and as you must have noticed, we're a B2B company. So in terms of clients, we have mostly key accounts, large, medium businesses, composed of companies from the media, from the corporate, or from the institution markets. We approach these companies with offers in the form of subscription or quotas, and we make sale to them thanks to a very strong sales representative network that is international. Those people, they're on site, they go door to door, they sign deal. Main issue being the fact that it takes several weeks, several months. With the API, everything has been turned upside down for us. So in terms of clients, there's been a part of the business that we've never been able to target, to reach, to approach, because it's too small. And this is composed of startups, R&D entities, schools, individuals. That kind of business, we don't have the sales force necessary to talk to them, to every watch of them. So the API has been a great way to conduct business with them. All in all, this has opened up a new market share for us, whereas in terms of offers, we've broken up our models. We've gone towards a pay-as-you-go model. So we open you up an access, you pick and choose whatever you want, and at the end of the month, you receive a bill with the amount you have to pay. This has been a new way for us to do business. It allowed us to inject more value into content and to give more flexibility to our clients. Finally, in terms of sales, it's pretty easy. We don't have to send salespeople over the world. The world comes to us. So we've introduced sales automation, and all in all, this has given us the opportunity to do a long-tail strategy. Now, in terms of opportunities, having an API has been great for us because it opened our eyes to stuff we couldn't see before. I have one strong business case I wanted to present, which is a small French startup that came to us through our marketing automation system. That startup had a business idea of offering service to analyze the performance of a digital campaign. So they would go to companies, they would sell them the solution. How will your digital campaign perform on the internet, on social media? So they would grab what the people would say about the campaign from the internet, from the social media, analyze that content, and report to the company, your digital campaign has been well perceived, not well perceived, stuff like that. They had one big issue with their model. That issue was the fact that people can't write on the internet. So their model was having a really hard time to understand some of the things people were saying on social media. So they put in place some machine learning, some AI, and they've been trying to teach for a long time to the system to correct the content they would retrieve from the internet. And the first approach they had was with books. So they picked up old books, free books, they injected those into the system, and they made the system learn those books. The issue is that those books were quite old. So they were written in some old French, old English. So in terms of sentence structure, it wasn't very performing. On the other side, they went to open database systems, such as Wikipedia. They would scrap Wikipedia, get all the content, make their model analyze that content. And in that case, they would have the exact opposite problem. It was too lax, the sentences were too different, the model couldn't learn much from it. So they came to us, and they said something we never heard before. We don't care about your content, we only want your database. So we've opened them up an access. We let them retrieve all the content they wanted, and they've had great success in teaching the model how to correct people's mistakes over the internet. All in all, this story, it taught us about a blind spot we had, and it has given us an opportunity to launch a new offer where we don't sell content per se, but we sell content to a database, cold access, hot access, stuff like that. So all in all, it has been the API has been a great way to retrieve business for AFP, where we would never have even guessed we would find business.
So as a key takeaway, I think you got it. Although API challenged the AFP at the very beginning, that's been a great opportunity for us to use APIs as a means to even reposition ourselves, scale our delivery system, scale our business model. And APIs have been a great way, in fact, for us to reinforce us in our mission of spreading trustworthy information. If you have, in the future, what if we could imagine a place where interconnected APIs between all the media, trustworthy media in the world, could be interconnected and automatically start fighting fake news on social media by replacing automatically fake news by modified, debunked stories. What if all this could be possible? If you have any idea, any project, and would like to talk about that to us, any innovative projects, you can connect to the developers.afp.com API, which is open and free. You can dig into a 70 million piece of content, and we're happy to discuss about any of your projects, iterate, try, launch, and learn with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Excellent. All right, who has questions for these two? Right there.
Hi, thanks for your talk. Touching on your point around trustworthiness, are you working with other organizations which also validate fake news or debunk it, basically? I think I recollect a company called FactMata, which is into the same kind of activity. So is there a collaboration that you're looking for? Or even when you do the validation, are you already driving that, determining it on the basis of APIs itself?
So today, the API proposes the news which are fake news, which have the most impact social media, and from this list, we choose the one we want to edit. Now, about collaboration with third parties, yes, absolutely, we do that. We have a group of media organizations who, for specific events like the French election, we've grouped our forces to debunk any fake news that happens. But the AFP now has set its own organization in 10 languages to debunk stories across the world, and we have hundreds of journalists now doing that on a daily basis. So we love partnering with different media, but we do a lot on our own.
One other question? Oh, maybe we'll see if we can get both.
How did you convince internal stakeholders that opening up APIs would not kill your business, but would rather transform you to a new generation of business?
Good question.
How did it happen, you remember?
You're the director.
No, it's true. It's true that you're always scared that you'll cannibalize your business because you're opening content for free. But the old say is always, better to cannibalize yourself than having others taking your business. So it's true that, you may reach smaller value that we used to have from big clients, but because the volume may be much bigger, for certain type of clients it's free, startups, etc. But other types of clients which are in between, we make them pay for the service. So yes, compared to a previous model, it's a kind of cannibalization, but on the other hand, we are moving with the technology, with the change of habit, the change of usage, and we learn a lot from it. But it's true that it has been a challenge. But anyway, we had no choice but to test it. And the tests have been pretty successful. And at the end of the day, if our core mission, again, is to debunk fake news, distribute trustworthy information, we have the benefit of AFP of not having a capital. We don't have shareholders. We are a private, independent company, not owned by any state, but we have no quarterly report with huge benefits to report to our board. We have to balance our accounts. So the big difference with any other company in the world that we can still, as long as we fulfill this mission, distribute the world, test new business models, and as long as we balance the accounts. So we could take a risk maybe that others maybe could not have taken.
Yeah, and we also took advantage of the fact that the API, in terms of technology, was something our clients, existing clients, were asking. They were asking us, give us an API. So there was a strong demand, and on the other side, we took the approach of going the innovation route, talking to the stakeholders. We're innovating, we're doing something new, we're opening up to the public, and the very first target we worked on were the startups, R&Ds, entities, schools, individuals, stuff like that. As I said, there was a part of business that we never talked at AFP. So there was brand new business, which is pretty easy to sell to stakeholders.
Hi. Yeah, related question. In terms of business metrics, is it too early to start saying significant contribution to the revenue streams of the company? Is it too early, or can you share? Or
That's a very good question. At the end of the day, how much does it weigh? Because even if I said we may not have the same constraints of bringing huge benefits to any shareholder every quarter, still we have to balance our account. Does it move the needle? It's still a small percentage of our revenue, to be very frank. It's still a single-digit revenue, but the trend is going pretty fast. And as Pierre said, now we're reaching people we would never have thought before. Some very large companies interested in the API, so small accounts, either free or small accounts bring small revenue, may be compensated by bigger accounts we never expected before. So we think that is going to be exponentially as the usage of API is growing. And at the same, so this is for the new business. But as Pierre said, our traditional business as well, even traditional newspapers who used to receive, like Le Figaro used to receive via satellite dish to their CMS, they all want to switch to the API. And there are technology fees attached to it, etc. So at the end of the day, I think it will certainly, as the adoption of the API grows, new business, it's obvious, but even, I would say, legacy business, the adoption will go to the roof, and then revenue, either technology fees, service fees, will go up very, very quickly.
and can you quantify the benefits in terms of customer satisfaction for existing customers already?
Yes, I mean, definitely. I mean, when we used to deliver, if I take the legacy business, we used to deliver, of course, New York Times, CCTV, BBC, any of these players through the dish. We would need to install, and in some countries in the world, it's pretty complex to install a dish, whether you're in India and Pakistan, and even in Hong Kong, the space is so scarce, you have to have permits, it's a cost, it's a maintenance cost. They have to set a server there. They have to then develop APIs to come and pick in our server. They have to we used to send the entire gigas of content, because we're producing thousands of photos a day, thousands of videos, etc., in so many languages. So for them, it's saving so much hassle, setting the dish. In winter, when it's snowing, the dish is not as reliable as it used to be. Now that internet is everywhere, including in Syria, you may believe it, but in some part it's working fine. Then for them, it's no hassle for the setup, no much storage. They come and pick what they use. Much streamlined setup, technical setup. And we can, I think that's most of the benefits. And then they can also iterate on the user experience side with, for example, editorial journalists. They can develop enhanced features around the API, around the metadata, etc., in a much agile way than it used to be. They can iterate in a short. So huge benefits in terms of satisfaction, streamline the workflow for everyone, for us, for them, and reduction of cost. No maintenance of satellite dish, no maintenance of whatever servers, and it can be integrated directly at the core of their own database or tools.
And there's the fact that, as I said, we see what they're doing with our API service, which is not the case for the satellite or the FTP. That means that when one of our clients sends a request and gets an error, we see the error, and we're capable of knowing that a client is having trouble. For the satellite, if the client doesn't call us, I have a problem, we won't know it's not working, which is a big issue. Other side, in terms of usage, We see how much requests they send, how much content they retrieve. So each month, we can make reports and looking at the consumption. If it's going up or down, it could be an indicator as to our quality service.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.